Ahoy, mateys! I am Amber Goodshine, and I will be your captain on the ship that is the Great Captain Amber lore recap. Now, I will not be covering anything that isn't already possible for you all to have found out when it comes to elements important for future videos. However, I will cover a few things that you haven't seen on my channel due to some SMPs ending up having no videos from me, even though they do contain some of my lore, and I will be linking any videos by other people or on my animatic channel that can help show at least a bit of the story not covered in the videos. Last note before we start, the gameplay on this video is going to be simple purely so I can get this video to you guys as quickly as possible, but when I can I'll pop up some art or screenshots to visualize my point when I can't point you to a video that already does. With all that being said, let's start at the very beginning. Most of my character's true backstory before any SMPs take place is in my I See Stars PMV. Amber has been a pirate her whole life, eventually achieving her dream to become a pirate captain, forming her own crew. They sail off with the goal of exploring and charting out unknown lands, eventually finding a map to a land that was only heard of through legends. No ships able to get close enough to find what lies in that area. The only ships that did were sunk. Having faith in each other, Amber and her crew set sail to be the first to be able to find and chart the mysterious land. However, that soon proves to be a mistake. The crew manages to get through obstacle after obstacle, eventually nearing the heart of the legendary path, further than any charred map notes. However, as they grow close, a ship is spotted heading toward the maiden Augustus. Amber discusses the matter with her first mate in the captain's quarters, and she tells him to get the crew ready for combat if that seemed to be a possibility once they got a closer look at the ship as it approached. The first mate leaves, but never relays the message to the rest of the crew. Amber stays unaware of any odd situation until she feels the first hit rock the ship. Alarmed, she tries to exit the captain's quarters to be by her crew's side, only to find her door blocked off. She doesn't get out until half her crew is dead and the water is entering the ship fast, but she manages to turn it around and docks at a nearby island. Once docked, she learns that her first mate was the one who had trapped her in her quarters, using her inaction during the fight to cause restlessness within the crew. In a grab for power, once the ship is repaired enough to sail again, he convinces the crew to turn against Amber for her faults that led to the situation in the first place. He starts a mutiny, and the crew sails away after leaving Amber marooned on the island, stripped of her hat and coat and left with only a poisoned arrow. Amber looks around the island only to find it mostly barren, only a few trees and no animals inhabiting it. However, as time passes, she feels the shadows are moving unnaturally. She's proven right when a demonic being appears in front of her, promising her revenge and a way off the island as long as she lets him inhabit part of her soul. Amber refuses, determined to find a way off the island without any shady deals. Days pass, with any hope for an escape fading fast. The demon doesn't leave Amber's side, continuing to chip down at her resolve. Eventually, she gives up, seeing no way out other than accepting the deal. Only hours after accepting, items start to wash up on shore that let Amber build a small raft that somehow manages to sail across the sea, the magic of the demon both keeping it together and pushing it in the right direction. Eventually, she arrives home, Roaring Waters docks. The main Augustus has docked there, but the damage is too great for her to set sail again. She finds her first mate and kills him, taking her hat and coat back. Thinking she's done, she turns to leave, but the demon takes over her mind, slaughtering the rest of her crew. Only one was able to escape. In her mind, she and the demon argue. She tries to kick him out, but he refuses, knowing that the deal was worded in a way that, as long as Amber had someone to take revenge on, he would stay, and there was still the head of that ship that had attacked the main Augustus. Defeated, Amber leaves, sailing away on the Gilded Crown, another ship that was docked there. Eventually, that ship docks at the Land of the Lost. Shortly after docking, Amber meets Agni, the two becoming fast friends. They create a close bond as time passes, and when Agni is in a time of need, Amber is all too happy to help them. She makes more friends and connections, but none as strong as her friendship with Agni. Unfortunately, Amber feels the demon starting to press in her mind again and flees the world, setting sail again for the safety of her new friends. Amber soon finds herself in desert life, saving a new friend, Soup, after finding them washed ashore half drowned. She's hesitant to trust anyone like she trusted her old crew, but Soup showed nothing but good intentions, not even wanting the power of being a captain. She elects Soup as her new first mate, Shork and Night Dream joining the crew shortly after, with her as captain once again. Unfortunately, this world is a death game, and people start dropping, especially as NASA and the Garns start a feud between the teams. The pirates stay fiercely loyal to each other, but eventually Amber falls to Red, the bloodlust and need for revenge mixing to bring the demon back in control, getting her killed going after a random player who didn't even have a part in any of the pain caused. Amber only remembers falling to Red, everything else going dark until she wakes up in Meadow Life. Meadow Life starts with Agni now being a part of the world. Excited at the idea of seeing her friend again, Amber is shocked when Agni kills Amber's new teammate, Tina, as a boogie kill. A rivalry kicks off between Agni's team, the Shinobis, and Amber's team, the Daughters of Hecate. Amber feels a bit lost, her emotions torn between longing for her old friendship with Agni and wanting Agni's team to pay for what they did. That part was mostly driven by the demon. However, she eventually finds herself on a rooftop with Agni, hoping that the conversation they're about to have will end all this fighting. Now, if you haven't seen my Meadow Life episode 7, I'd strongly recommend you watch it. Even if you don't plan on watching the rest of the episodes in that series, that one's important if you want to know the details of the Captain Amber lore, and the talk in that video hits way harder than any explanation here will. Right, continuing the story now. After hearing that Agni is the reason for Amber's world falling apart in the first place, she feels hurt and betrayed, realizing she can't trust anyone. It doesn't take much struggle for the demon to take over again, Amber retreating into her own mind for the time. After Meadow Life, Amber finds herself temporarily placed back at her home, waking up at Roaring Waters docks. For some context here, New Beginnings is an SMP that happened between Meadow and Mesa Life, but unfortunately any recordings I took will not be posted here. However, the end of this SMP's story is still important, similar to how Lost's is important. So let's get into it. Amber finds herself once again in a safe world, although at this point she can't allow herself to fully relax. Still, she works on rebuilding, trying to bring Roaring Waters back to the greatness it was before. Her hesitance is quickly proven to be valid as the world starts to corrupt, glitching away in bits and pieces. Amber finds herself sitting on the shores of Roaring Waters, alone with the corruption closing in, only herself and the demon left at the end. Desperate, with her sanity lessening and her exhaustion growing, Amber makes an attempt to leave the demon in the world to glitch away, blinding the eye that used to glow red with his presence. Obviously, this doesn't work, and the demon stays with her as she finds an opening to get out of the desecrating world, floating in the void for a while until she finds herself being pulled into Mesa Life. And without further ado, you are officially caught up on the Captain Amber lore. There were some things left unsaid and some details yet to be revealed, but you'll have to keep an eye on the channel for my next few SMPs to find all of that out. Now, as you've watched the video, you might have seen some songs popping up on screen, and that's because I've made a Captain Amber playlist, link in the description. All songs within the time frame of the lore in this video have popped up at the corresponding moments in the story, and you'll get a small sneak peek of how the story continues and ends with the song after. Once the whole story is wrapped up, I will be posting a little document or just regular community post, not sure which, that will be outlining the full lore connecting every song to a moment. Feel free to take a listen now or after the story concludes, and just remember that every song has a meaning, even the ones that might be a little bit silly. All that being said, I hope you're enjoying the story so far, and I will see all of you on episode 1 of Mesa Life.